Cyberpunk has very quickly become my new obsession in gaming. I haven't felt this deep addiction with any video game since maybe Fallout 4, and that wasn't even that strong. Now, I played the intro to Cyberpunk 2077 on launch several times, but kept getting taken out by some of the weird bugs I kept encountering.
Hello there, Night City! Stanley here with you, and we got another day ahead of us in this city of dreams.
So I set it down and then recently saw news about how, oh my god, Cyberpunk's been fixed. So then I hopped back into the game and saw the same bugs. I did some research to fix the bugs and maybe find a workaround, which as a Bethesda fan, I'm no stranger to finding solutions for the video game's issues. Thanks, Todd. I then found out that, oh, wow, I should put my video games onto an SSD drive, which makes everything load way faster, which honestly fixed all the issues I was having. And it revealed the world of Cyberpunk to be this incredible experience. Some have even called it a masterpiece, and many have praised its almost miraculous resurgence thanks to this act of emotional terrorism. So I just want to talk about how Cyberpunk 2077 managed to come back and suck me down the rabbit hole and deep depths of its dark future grip.
Yo, Mr. V, a pleasure.
So I went back into the game playing the same intro I'd played several times over at launch with zero expectations. If I'm gonna be honest, I had just recently gotten into actually beating the games I binge purchased on Steam sales and tried 100% them. So Cyberpunk was on the list and I figured, oh, why not? Be the guy who actually beats it, except at this point millions of people have been playing daily and I was nothing special. I got through the intro, which for me personally still hit pretty good in the emotional damage department. I ran the street kid life path because it felt more canon to what would actually happen in a city of crime and dark world dealings, and went through the experience of losing my one and only real friend yet again.
Love this town. A city of endless opportunity. You go out with a bang, right? And the street'll talk. The street'll remember. So win-win.
We have arrived. The major leagues.
Does not get any higher, chum.
Say I wanted a drink named after me. What would I have to do?
Snuff it. Mind-blowingly spectacular fashion. It ought to be best.
What a beautiful tradition.
To Night City.
And the afterlife. Ha ha! It's okay, V. Oh, hold out.
I suggest you try to keep Mr. Wells conscious.
It's gonna be all right, huh? You'll see Misty, your mom, everyone you love. Jackie, don't close your eyes.
Mr. Wells has passed. Where shall I take his remains?
What?
The Excelsior package provides for the disposal of passenger remains free of charge. I merely require a destination.
I want to be with his family.
Mr. Wells's closest blood relative is Guadalupe Alejandra Wells, proprietress of the El Coyote Coho Bar. I will make sure to deliver him safely. Mr. Deshawn awaits you in room number 204.
See you in the major leagues, Jack.
And then I hit the crossroads. I could take the blue pill, the story ends, and I move on to the next game in my library to never return to Cyberpunk for maybe another year or two minimum. Or I take the red pill and delve head first into the game and try my darndest to beat it. Mind you, there were some pretty good games coming out when I decided this. I mean, Modern Warfare 2 was coming out, Overwatch 2. Oh, and I mean, Skyrim could always use another playthrough, but I decided no, this was the time. I am going to beat this game and experience it in its entirety. And boy, oh boy, was this the right decision. The story, the setting, the characters, post-intro, which I never got to before, just kept getting better and better. Mysteries, intrigue, revenge, loss, triumph, memes. I let myself be fully immersed into the world. I read every shard I came across. I paid close attention to what was being presented and tried to learn as much as I could, and it ended up being a really fulfilling and enriched gaming experience I hadn't realized I missed. I felt like I was actually there in the moment as V with these characters, their stories, and I actually felt like I was connected to the world. Helping Judy enact revenge with the clouds and explore her underwater home. Discovering Johnny Silverhand's end, helping him reconnect with Carrie Uridine and Rogue. Meeting the Nomads and becoming recognized as family, and having weird intramural sexual relations with Pan Am in a military-grade super tank. It was just so damn captivating. Even the side missions had pretty good stories, ranging from Maelstrom kidnapping a monk and installing cyber mods in his body, which you learn is against their beliefs, which is pretty similar to real Buddhist monks, and rescuing his brother from that same fate. Or helping a sad dude get help with his burning crotch issues for installing faulty black market modifications. I was always excited to see what was going to be at the next location to uncover more information on what life in Night City is actually like and who I could help as the most badass solo merc to this date. Now, while the story drew me in, I would be lying if the cyberware screen wasn't overwhelming. I had no idea what any of these things meant and honestly ignored them until much later when I realized just how powerful they actually were. After getting more options, it somehow just made more sense, and my first V was coming together nicely as this weird jack of all trades, which I now regret. Progression was fun enough for me. I mean, it isn't as crazy in-depth as other RPGs out there, but it gets the job done. Weapons actually all felt pretty unique in terms of use. I actually used smart pistols for a long time and even found Skippy, who helped me murder scavs for a bit. After beating the main story, I gave Gorilla Arms a go, which I might have to do a whole character dedicated to punching stuff now because it was really, really fun. I do wish, though, that there was just a little more to the cyberware besides just rarity upgrades, although I haven't done too much with cyberware since I messed up my build big time, so I'll learn more when I try Netrunner or a physical build. In terms of gameplay, I don't expect crazy gunplay in an RPG. I just expect to make choices and choose how I dispatch enemies as opposed to being a literal dedicated FPS. I mean, you can literally make 500 grenades and blow every gang member up on the streets, and that's the fun of it. That is what makes an RPG. I saw a lot of people talking about the weird gunplay and how it doesn't have good shooting mechanics. I mean, yes, it's a part of the game, but I think it's good enough for what the game is. It's not Call of Duty. It's more like Fallout. It's also kind of nice to see that almost any build you can come up with is viable at the end game, and they're all pretty busted. It's nice to have a game where they don't pull back too much out of fear of the player being overpowered. Like, no, you're the single best merc in NC. You can totally freeze time, plant a laser grenade at the feet of all your enemies, and then watch them get cut into tiny pieces simultaneously, and they won't even know what happened. Now, I've done nearly every activity, side quest, gig, NCPD, scanner, etc. And after that, I mean, there's nothing much else there, but at the same time, you have every activity, side quest, gig, NCPD, scanner, gig, cyber psycho. There's a lot to the game. I have about 90 hours on my main playthrough, and it's just crazy to me seeing that people are talking about how, like, oh, there's nothing to do in the game. There is plenty to do in the game. But that being said, there's nothing wrong with having more stuff in a video game. I think having more stuff is always better than having less stuff. In some cases, it's got to be meaningful. So I think some sort of extended gameplay with like randomized gigs or random world events besides the usual scripted gang wars would have been pretty fun, or something repeatable like the Night Mother quests with the Dark Brotherhood and Skyrim, and maybe just have like a bigger pool of random encounters. I actually had this idea where, you know, if I were to make a game, what would the end game be? Because after the stories were solved, I mean, you're just kind of living there. And I thought like maybe a scaling difficulty random table of quests where you just like maybe invent like 100 to 200 encounters. They don't have to be big, they could just be small, but just like have tiny little stories. Obviously this is a lot of work, but just have that scale exponentially until like it's just you're overcoming this insane obstacle. It's almost its own story in of itself, and then maybe eventually your character just it's very hard unless you like hard optimize, which obviously some people would just build just for beating that, but it would be like a nice game within the game, and it's almost like randomly generated stuff that just scales in difficulty. You wouldn't even have to really write it, just have it on an algorithm. But you know, that I'm not a game dev. I don't know how that works. I'm not going to pretend that I know that that would be an easy feat or say that that would be an easy feat, but it would be a cool idea. So if I ever get into game dev, expect that from me. But since that's not in the game, the real end game is actually just photo mode, which there's a lot of cool contests on their Twitter. I think they have one about your favorite memory of Cyberpunk going on right now, and I think that's fun. I personally like photography. I took photography in college. I like taking pictures. I'm pretty into video game photography, screenshots, whatever you want to call it, digital photography, and I'm having a blast. I mean, Night City is a beautiful setting. The world looks awesome, and it actually runs pretty smooth on PC, at least. I don't know what the situation is on console. I have seen some reports of people saying that the game still runs kind of over on like even PS5, but for me personally, I've been really enjoying it. I think everything's running great. I'm taking some really fun screenshots, and maybe I'll even throw one into the little contest they have on Twitter. So, I mean, that's not everyone's idea of a great end game, and not everyone's into video game screenshot photography like me. So I understand why some people might be frustrated, but the good news is there's a lot of mods, which I'm sort of refraining from touching until I 100% the game, which I'm pretty close. I also just thought of something that came from Far Cry, but in Far Cry, you had the option to reset all of the gang, or what do you call them? They were like all the encounters where you take over the bases or do base raids. You could reset them, and then I think you could even up the difficulty on those. I think that would have been a really good thing to have in Cyberpunk, at least just like the NCPD, or maybe even just the gigs from the fixers. That would have been really cool too. Now at this point, like I said, I'm almost 100% complete with the achievements, and I've decided I will go deep. Like, my girlfriend's really into Elder Scrolls. She's a walking Wikipedia on Elder Scrolls, which I think is cool, and I think I finally found something where I would like to delve into a world and just kind of learn everything about it. So I've gone deeper than just the game now. I've purchased the game guides, the world lore books from Cyberpunk. I've even purchased Cyberpunk RED, the tabletop RPG, which I actually haven't played yet. I have a lot prepared for a game when I finally find some people to play some Cyberpunk RED. So if you're one of my homies and you're watching this, hit me up. Let's set up a time, and let's kill some megacorps or something. But I can safely say that Cyberpunk and the world that CD Projekt Red and Mike Pondsmith worked together to really bring to life has become my top favorite fantasy, sci-fi, whatever setting. And I've even brought myself to watch some older stuff from the Cyberpunk genre, like Blade Runner and RoboCop, and I've been really enjoying those as well. But in the end, I've got to say that CD Projekt Red kind of pulled themselves out of the junkyard after being shot in the head and redeemed themselves, but it still sucks that it had to happen the way it did, and I still see people talk about how awful the game is, even though in its current state, at least on PC, it runs pretty smooth now. A lot of people who might have otherwise found this gem that is Cyberpunk 2077 are left with a bad taste in their mouth and have moved on or become full-time internet haters, which is honestly a shame. So if you're seeing this and you're just kind of wondering, should you play Cyberpunk 2077, then my personal answer would be yes. I think the story is great. If you are kind of like an anti-capitalist person, it definitely fits that. You'll like the themes there, but it also has this sort of feel or vibe to it where you're just someone who's on the street trying to make it, and there's every angle possible against you, and you're just trying to overcome these things, and it really wraps it up and delivers in such a it's kind of like an emotional roller coaster in a way, if you're into that stuff. Some people just want to shoot stuff and don't care about the story, but I would say if you're going to play Cyberpunk for the first time, enjoy it, take your time. It's more of like a 5-course meal than like a Call of Duty multiplayer lobby. You gotta hop in and just let yourself be immersed, get absorbed by the world, the setting, the characters, and just have fun with it. So anyway, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. It would be really helpful if you dropped a like down below. I'll probably post some more Cyberpunk like builds or challenges, or maybe I'll even do some lore videos either here or on another channel. I'm also launching a second channel where I'm going to talk about tabletop games like Cyberpunk RED, or just storytelling in general, where I'm going to talk about how I write characters, how I GM in these games. The channel is going to be called Roll for Initiative. So if you have any questions about like tabletop RPGs and stuff like that, you can head over there or drop a comment here or find me on Discord. I don't really care where you ask me the questions. But yeah, thank you again so much for watching if you made it this far, and I will see you in the next video with whatever it is I'm doing. So make sure you eat something, drink something, take a nap, do whatever you gotta do. Peace out.